look the same. What does that mean? It means that in terms of you teaching someone to use Joomla or you using Joomla, the learning curve is lower. It means that everybody will be able to go, I know what I have to do on this. So for developers, it's going to save you time for support. It's going to save you time writing documentation because there's less things that you need to teach people. You can even do all those icons with just CSS as well. It's got a grid layout, great usability, and it's going to be responsive as well. That's all part of the toolkit that's available for developers to use. If anyone has an iPhone, you'll know that almost every app on an iPhone kind of works the same. Yeah, things are in the same place. And that's because Apple are really, really strict about what you can do and what you can use and where you can put things. And they give iPhone developers the tools to do that. Well, with Joomla 3, we're giving developers the tools, but we're not being as strict. Yeah, if you want to go and do your own thing, you still can. You're a fool, but you still can. But we're giving the developers the tools, and that's going to make life easier for everybody. And of course, it's responsive as well. So, developers, use those new toys, please. What about for designers? What does Joomla 3 mean for designers? Well, again, designers have got that same toolkit. Your templates can go on a diet. If you look at a typical template, and look across at you, and how big is the CSS folder, the JavaScript folder, and possibly even the framework folder for your template? And typically, they're pretty big. Because you've got to do everything yourself. You've got to do all those views, you've got to do all the CSS, because the core of Joomla it's got CSS, but it's not really got everything you can do funky. Well, with Joomla 3, we can go on a diet. This is the same guy. Well, the internet says it's the same man, so it must be true, it's on the internet. And your templates can now, typically, the CSS folder is going to shrink. Your JavaScript folder might even disappear, especially if it only had in jQuery. Just one version, please. And the framework may or may not exist at all, because you may now just use the default built-in Bootstrap framework that it's there for. So developers, designers, you can dump that hard hat. You can make life easier for yourself. If you use your brain, you don't sit on the sidelines or sit at the back of the room, but get involved and actually use the tools that Joomla 3 is now giving you. Because Joomla 3 is giving you the grids, it's giving you the frameworks, it's giving you the responsiveness, it's doing all that stuff that you used to have to sit down and do yourself. It's all there. It's built in. You just have to use it. Now, some people do say, but a Bootstrap template, a Bootstrap website, they all look the same. Yeah? They don't. There's plenty of websites out there you can go to, and you can see the different types of websites that people have built. There's nothing that you couldn't build before that you can't build with Bootstrap. The traditional Bootstrap website has a black bar across the top. So everyone goes, it's a Bootstrap website. Well, if you go to my blog, I've got a big black bar across the top. And it's not Bootstrap. So it's just a black bar. It doesn't mean it's Bootstrap. It's because somebody liked the big black bar across the top. So you can do whatever funky design you did before, but now you can do it quicker and easier and with less code. And trust me, I'm not a designer. So I just go by what other people do. So, the next question, the elephant in the room. Is this another upgrade? Is it a migration? I like to think of it as an upgradation. Or maybe it's a migrate. The answer is, well, there is no real answer. Let me explain. This was the release life of Joomla 1.5. And then we have Joomla 2.5, which is what we call a long-term release. After 2.5, Joomla 3 comes out. Now Joomla 3, you can see there it's a different colour. That means it's a short-term release. It means that there will be bug fixes for Joomla 3.0 and security fixes, but in 6 months' time, Joomla 3.1 will come out. You'll see when Joomla 3.1 comes out, Joomla 3.0 disappears. There will be no more bug fixes or security fixes to 3.0. Why? Because 3.1 is the bug fix. And to move from the between short-term releases definitely is click done. But to move from the short-term release, to move from a long-term release like 2.5 to another long-term release is going to be a bit harder. How much harder? That's still to be seen. It really is going to depend on how much external components you're using and whether your template is doing anything funky. Now my personal website only has 2 components installed. One of them is a Kiba backup and one of them is JCE for creating the contents. Everything else on my personal site is pure core Joomla and a very funky template. So for me to move to 3.0, content's going to be like that. The template's going to need a bit of work because things have changed, views have changed and stuff like that. But everything else is just going to be like that, and both JCE and Akiba Backup are Joomla 3 ready already. 3 ready already. So that's not really a problem. But if I was using lots of other components, yeah, I'm going to have to wait for those components to be tested and proven to be ready, and some of those will need some minor tweaks for the developers to create. So, do you need to upgrade your Joomla 2.5 website to Joomla 3.0? The answer to that is no. You do not need to do it because Joomla 2.5 is being supported right through till the end of 2013. So there'll be security fixes, bug fixes, maybe even some small feature releases that go in the 2.5 tree all the time that 3 is being released. Sounding a little bit complicated, I know. It hurts your head. It definitely hurts my head thinking about it. I think for me, the rule is going to be, this is just my personal rule, not an official policy of Joomla. All my existing websites that are in Joomla 2.5 are going to stay in Joomla 2.5. There's no reason for me to change them. Any brand new website that I build, I will probably start to build those in 3. Okay? Assuming that if I'm using if those new websites need a component, that component is available for 3. If it's not, I'll quite happily build in 2.5. But I definitely am not going to be looking at upgrading any 2.5 sites to 3. Unless there's one that might have a screaming desire for some new usability feature that's in 3. And then if you bend my arm really tightly behind my back to force me and put a lot of money in my pocket, then I might upgrade those. But as a general rule, no. 3 is for brand new websites and for you to learn and play with all the goodies. Yeah? It's not for you to go, oh dear, I've got to upgrade all my websites.